Well, it's been quite a bad week again for health. We've had hospitals lambasted for patients' deaths, workers on strike, all sorts of mayhem. But I do get the sense today that our health correspondent Laurelie Mason wants to ditch all that bad stuff and focus on something positive. Am I right, Laurelie?
Yes, Kay, I want to take my happy pills today.
Oh, do you?
I mean, look at the last week. Goodness me. I mean, another week in health. You know, we've had two reports lambasting hospitals for the deaths of patients in Wellington and Wanganui. Both of them, you know, quite alarming. We've then had workers out on strike. We've had lab workers and blood workers, and now we've got radiographers, and we've got lab and blood workers again next week. So, I mean, I could have, you know, talked about them because I've talked about these issues, you know, again and again, but they come back.
Give us some good news then.
I thought, no, today I'll talk about something happy, something really positive happening in the health system, and it's a story that I ran on One News, a story of mine last night, which has really got me, you know, applauding doctors and nurses for the job they do. And this is a charitable organisation called Operation Restore Hope. They're flying out to the Philippines today, and they're going to operate on underprivileged kiddies who need cleft palate and lip operations. And you may be able to see, if you've got some pictures there from my story, of what work this New Zealand bunch of surgeons and nurses do. They get children with this dreadful deformity, cleft lip and palate, and of course it's fixed quite quickly here on babies that are born. Some of these children starve to death because they can't eat, they can't hear, they can't speak. And once a year, Operation Restore Hope goes, and there's some before and after shots you can see there. It's amazing what they can do. $200 per child to fix the problem. Because all the surgeons from Australia and New Zealand and some from Germany come over once a year to Manila. They fly in and they do it all for, give their time and everything for free. And companies like Johnson & Johnson and others, you know, provide equipment and sutures and anaesthetics and things like that.
Do they have a higher rate of cleft palate there? Is that
they do actually, yes, and nobody really knows why. I mean, it could well be genetic. Or it could well be, another theory is that Asian countries have a high rate of this because of maternal diet when pregnant. You know, there's a lot of carbohydrate in the diet and not much else, and their diet's not varied enough, and perhaps this leads to it, but nobody's entirely sure. But goodness me, for $200 per child, what a wonderful thing, and I applaud the team. They're flying out today for another week's operations this year, and it must be, look, it must be one of the most satisfying things I think you can do.
Good on them. I mean, we should be praising them and talking about them more. Okay, now you want to talk about your saliva being the key to getting pregnant?
Yes, I do. Now this is interesting. It's a new product called Maybe Baby, and it's been brought out here by a couple who lived in England and tried it over there, and they've sort of brought the rights to have the company here. And what Maybe Baby is it's a little test which tests your saliva, a little wee thing this long, and you buy it from a chemist, and you test your own saliva every month to see when you're most likely to get pregnant or when you're most likely not to, your fertility basically. And it magnifies a little bit of your saliva under a scope, and it will let you know, if it's sort of dotty patterns, then you're not fertile, and if it's sort of ferny patterns, which is quite easy to see, then you are fertile. And it's opposed to other things, like, you know, people take temperatures, and there's urine tests and all sorts of messy sort of tests to try and figure out when the best time is if you wanted to get pregnant. But this looks a lot simpler. It's just something else, another product to help give you a little bit more predictability, perhaps.
Fantastic. All right, give us a health tip.
Okay, this is from England, and I can just hear your colleague there, Paul Henry. He's just rearing up, as he always is when I do my health tip, to actually just
give us his 5 cents worth that he knows more than you.
Just to gun it down, if I can, you know.
Well, if you don't mind, Laurelie, I'm prepared to be harangued for being a male as soon as you mention a health tip.
You see, he's always so defensive when I put.
Well, apparently, yes, isn't he? Health tip then.
Apparently, chocolate is better than kissing. So this is for all the singles out there who are worried about, you know, who are a bit sad about being single, perhaps, or thinking, oh, you know, chocolate, get a bar of chocolate and sit in front of the telly, because they took the heart rate of people who had a kiss and then had the chocolate. You know, obviously these were couples who knew each other and what have you, and the heart rate when people had chocolate more than doubled. It went from 40 at rest to 160, when the chocolate melted in the mouth, as opposed to a kiss.
But as I said, it all comes back to who you're kissing.
You're quite right, actually. So if it was George Clooney, or if it was Paul Henry,
I know, who'd make my heart rate go up. There'd be no question.
Slight difference there, perhaps, for some women. Not all, Paul, but...
I don't know, Laurelie. Quite frankly, George Clooney, Paul Henry, how would you know the difference?
Yes, gosh, how would you?
How would you?
That's a hard one.
All right, that whole chocolate thing is absolute rubbish too, isn't it? Obviously, a completely different scenario.
I knew he'd do that.
Thank you very much, though, Laurelie.
Thank you, Laurelie. We look forward to talking to you next week.
We do. We always look forward to talking to her, don't we? We always do. Coming up next...